Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Uncaped Mama podcast, where I help you shed the superwoman persona and just be. As a mama, as a woman, as a friend, as a supporter of mamas, this is just your place to exist. So thank you for joining me. I am Dom Gonzalez, and I am your host. Let's dive in. Thank you for joining the Uncaped Mama podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the feedback. It feels so good to know that I'm meeting my goal of being real and relatable. And I've even had people say the podcast feels like a warm hug. It feels like the topics are right on time. I'm doing God's work. All of that keeps me going. So thank you so much. Continue to spread the word. Continue to share it with your friends. I've even had people who are not parents say that they love it. Men listen to it and they love it. So I guess this is a podcast for everybody, potentially. And I'm here for that. So just wanted to start off episode 3 with some gratitude. I could not do this without listeners, without supporters. And so thank you. So for this episode, I wanted to talk about self-care. And to be honest, it took me a minute to record. I knew exactly what I wanted to talk about over a week ago and was excited and ready to record. And then I got nervous and started to overthink and decided to pull myself out of it. I want to give a shout out to my friend Kristen, who has helped me organize. And she was talking to someone today. I'm dropping one of her kids off at school, and she got in the car and she said that my podcast automatically played, and she's listened to both episodes, and she sent me a text and said that she loved it, she enjoyed it. And I was telling her, my mind has been racing. I've just been overthinking it. I already knew what I wanted to talk about, and I'm like, girl, I'm overthinking it. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna go record right now. So thank you, Kristen. You're amazing. You weren't even messaging me to tell me to record, but that little boost reminded me, just get out of your head and record. The whole point is to be relatable and to keep it real. So let's keep it real about self-care. I'm going to be open and vulnerable in this, and maybe that's why I was nervous. But I think this is a really important thing to talk about when we talk about life in general, but also when we talk about parenting and the adjustments to parenting and the constant transitions and readjustments when you become a parent. So I became a parent almost 3 years ago. Almost exactly 3 years ago is when I found out I was pregnant with my oldest. So crazy to think it's been 3 years. And I had been on an individual self-care journey. I had done a lot of healing. I was working out. I was drinking water. I was having very heavily plant-based days or weeks. I was working with a trainer. I had a meal plan. I had figured out my sleep. I had a good social life, even during the pandemic. I was reading books and journaling and going to therapy. I was getting massages. I was doing a lot. I was self-caring regularly in ways that made sense, in ways that fit my budget, in ways that felt good to me. And I knew that that was going to evolve, but I didn't realize how jarring becoming a parent was, and mostly because of other people's expectations. So when I was going through my pregnancy with my oldest, I was sick a lot, very sick. I had a hyperemesis gravidarum. I had gestational diabetes. I had polyhydramnios, which is extra fluid around him. So I had back pain. I started seeing a chiropractor during that time, who is awesome, by the way. Dr. Mama Bird is fantastic if you're in the Dallas area. I had my doula. I had my midwife. I was paying attention to what I was eating. I had overcome the gestational diabetes, and so I was really finding ways to take care of myself as much as I could while dealing with a tough situation, sort of in general. I needed to find a job. I had been unemployed because my company closed during the pandemic. So in 2020, it closed, and I had been side hustling and doing business and all that sort of thing. But when you're about to have a baby, I'm like, I need benefits. I need things. And so I'd been figuring it out and sort of making it as a single person. But when you're having a baby, you need more. And I had taken pretty good care of myself as much as I could during pregnancy. But almost immediately when I had my baby, I realized, ooh, this is really different. And the advice that you get, like, it wasn't giving. Okay. It was like not, I'm like, yeah, everybody keeps saying that. And I bet that sounds really good, but it's not working. Specifically, I'm talking about sleep when the baby sleeps. And I found out very quickly that that piece of self-care, your rest, your sleep, obviously is very important. But if I sleep when the baby sleeps, when do I pump? When do I eat? When do I get hydrated? When do I get fresh air? When do I cook? When do I clean up? When do I pack that diaper bag for the doctor appointment that's happening later today or tomorrow morning? When do I socialize with friends? When do I do laundry and fold it and put it away? When do I do lots of things? Also, babies will catnap. So by the time you get a baby down to sleep and then you fall asleep, and I'm not one of those people who quickly falls asleep. I am learning to relax, slowing my mind down, because a lot of times my head would hit the pillow and I would think about all the other things that I needed to do. And so when a baby is taking a 15-minute nap and it's taking me 20 minutes to fall asleep, I'm not sleeping. That has an impact, a large impact on your mental health and on your physical health. It's tough. And so that piece of advice felt like the popular, cool, sort of it thing to say. And in practice, like, it wasn't giving. Like, I'm like, no, that doesn't work. The other pieces of self-care that are super important as well are fitness. And I'm not talking about like going to the gym at that point. It was going to be really good for both of us to get a walk in. And eventually we started taking walks around my apartment complex outside. I would put my baby in the stroller and we would go on walks, and I would walk as long as I could. I needed to be stretching and those sorts of things. And he was very curious. He's still a very curious toddler, very curious baby. People would be like, oh, well, go and put him in the stroller and then like he'll fall asleep. Not that baby. He was up watching traffic and kids get off the school bus and all kinds of stuff, right? He's watching maintenance walk through. He's looking at the birds and the squirrels. And I don't actually think those are bad things. But you would think, like, oh yeah, that would tire him out, and then we'll get back in the house and like, I can shower. No. Showering. He had to be in the bathroom with me. So I literally have a little baby chair. He's strapped in, and I'm showering quickly, which changes your routines. I have locks, and washing my hair takes a while. A long time, because it's a lot of hair at this point. I could not do that with him, because that's literally potentially being in the shower while trying to shower and wash my hair and do a little conditioning. I mean, that's at least 20 minutes. At least. We're not even talking about getting to my skincare routine. You can't do that with a child who can't see you behind the shower curtain, right? The way in which my bathroom was set up. And then they get bored with that. Like, as they continue to grow, I could get like 5 minutes before he was like, all right, sis, we need something else. You might be in there self-caring, but I need you to care for me, which makes sense. But when I'm at home by myself, because I'm the only person who was working from home at that point, I'm working from home and I have a child at home at the same time. So like, I'm literally working from the time I wake up until the time I go to sleep as a parent, and then for another company, and then I have my own business. It was a lot. When do you squeeze in the appropriate types of self-care? Now, luckily, I was continuing to go to the chiropractor. Great self-care. I had friends who surprised me with a pedicure one time. I had friends who would babysit. But a lot of it, I felt like, because of the pressures and folks not trusting me about the safety of my child, who protection's number one for me. Everything else falls behind keeping you safe. It's tough because to me, I'm like, I know I need to go get my hair done. I know I need a pedicure. I know I need to go to the dentist. I need to get a massage. I could do therapy because I was doing telehealth. So like that was fine. But like even my regular checkups, he would come with, and I didn't know if I could do that because again, we're still in the pandemic and the rules are changing a lot. I also needed social time. There were things that I needed and I felt like I couldn't do them because I was so worried about the expectations of other people who felt like, well, when you become a parent, we talked about this before in episode 1, you don't really matter. So it's just going to be rough, right? And certain people shouldn't have your kid. You should have your kid. Now, I'm not talking about my son being 6 days out of the hospital and I'm trying to kick it. I'm talking about my son being 5 months old. Keeping him at home because 1, I couldn't afford daycare. 2, daycares were packed full. 3, I worked from home, so I felt like he's a baby. Like he really got into like watching me on my meetings and hearing me on my meetings. And my office was in his nursery, so it kind of worked out. Like he would be asleep behind me and I would be on a meeting, and then sometimes he'd sit in his chair behind me and, you know, play with something or have a teething ring or have his bottle right, and he's sitting right there. So I was able to get work done. But I want you to put that into the context of a day where essentially all I'm doing is working. And when I wasn't in a meeting or I wasn't doing actual work, I'm trying to use the restroom, I'm trying to shower, I'm trying to figure out how to prepare myself healthy meals. I'm needing to feed him. The car needs maintenance. And then I have all these appointments that I'm telling you about. Now, I had a village of people to help me, but my mom worked full time. My boyfriend worked full time out of the house, and we didn't live together, right? So, you know, he'd come visit for lunch and in the evenings, or I'd go over to his place, like, you know, and we'd be fine. But in terms of like what I needed hour to hour, sort of day to day, it was me. I had friends who, when they weren't working during the day, would come help out, who would babysit. And a lot of those times I just wanted to sleep. Like I was so exhausted. I was clinically depressed. I had anxiety, like large amounts of anxiety. I was stressed out. I was overwhelmed. And in my mind, I keep hearing the advice of people saying I don't really matter. I shouldn't send my kid anywhere, even though people are sending their babies to daycare at 6 weeks old. We talking about my kid is 6 months old now, very familiar with the small amount of people that would watch him. You know, I'm realizing like I can't self-care in the ways that I need, and I can't self-care in the ways that I promote through my business. Hard. Now I become a mom of 2, much easier pregnancy, and until the end, it was very traumatic. Both births were traumatic. They were just tough on me, mentally, physically, emotionally. And once again, there's this expectation that you should get up immediately and be moving around, and the ways in which you take care of yourself go to the back burner because of the kids come first. And I realized, if I'm not okay, who's taking care of them? If I stress myself to death, who takes care of them? They no longer have me. if I stress myself into having to go back into inpatient care, which I've done before, who takes care of them? They don't have me. I am not well. I want to be well. I want them to see balance. I want them to see openness and vulnerability. I want them to see me asking for help, which I still struggle with. But I also want them to see me feeling good. You know, like when you look good, you feel good. And sometimes it's hard to fit a shower in with an infant. I think moms know that. And I think anybody who's been really close to moms, they get that. But when you look good, you feel good. When you're clean, you feel good. When, I like to do yoni steams. I like pedicures. I like to go on walks and just to get fresh air. I like to go to brunch. Sometimes by myself, sometimes not. I like to read books, y'all. I like to journal. I like listening to music. I like watching documentaries and funny movies. I love my friends. I like to travel. I have a very specific skincare routine that really only takes 5 minutes. But sometimes when your kid starts climbing and they figure out how to get out of that pack and play, they start climbing out of the crib, or you think like, okay, they're really down for a nap, but they're not. You can't get those things done. So how did I overcome that? I had to do some work in therapy on the mental side. Why was I allowing other people's expectations for me impact me taking care of myself? I had to really work on that and dig deep and figure out, like, what are the barriers in my brain and in my mind and my mindset, and that came from my experiences somewhere, that is telling me that I don't matter and that it's a bad thing for me to take care of myself first. So I had to do that work and start to tell myself I am better for my children when I take care of myself first. If I haven't eaten, and I have a genetic disorder, so if I'm forgetting meals, I'm not hydrated, and I'm stressed out, like, we're asking for me to be sick quickly, which requires long hospital stays, which are not fun. All right, like, it's a lot. I can't avoid them, but I've been managing pretty well when I decided to truly take care of myself. We're all better when we're hydrated. We're all better when we get sleep. We're all better when we move our bodies in the best way that we can. So why are we telling moms that they can't do that? That they can't self-care? That they almost have to take what they can get, to the point where we're pushing moms to be in unhealthy situations. I had to work on that. Like, I reject that idea. I reject it when I hear people say it, when I hear people allude to it, when I even have people that I know had a village and had help who are telling me that I have to be different. I reject that. And I became unapologetic about my needs. So I started to ask in advance, godparents, friends, hey, I have this appointment. Would you mind watching one child, both children, depending on what was going on? I'll pay you. Or I'll buy you lunch, or, whatever I could do. You can come to my house. I can bring them to your house, whatever. And I would do that. I even would have friends and godparents who would say, I'm just coming over to work from your house. Like, you go do something. My boyfriend would literally say, hey, I'm on my way to see y'all. Oh, great. And he would walk in. And if my son was awake, they would go watch a cartoon. They'd go play. They would go baby babble. And he would send me away and say, go eat a meal by yourself while it's still hot. Or I don't care what you go do right now. Just go leave us alone. We're going to be fine. We're going to go watch Morphle. We're going to go watch Bluey. We're about to eat a snack. We're going to play with, his musical toys. But you need time. Go take a bath. I don't care if you just took one. He would be like, seriously. And he would give me ideas of these are all the things that you were just telling me you couldn't do in the past 24 hours. Go do it. My best friend and a coworker sent me to get a pedicure one time, and they arranged the babysitter. I didn't even know. They're like, you go and get one. My friend would come to the house and wash my hair and do my hair. It felt so good. So good to have pedicure that maybe nobody saw, but I felt good. It felt good to be able to eat a meal while it was still warm. It felt good to be sent away. I mean, I would cry like in gratitude. And I would tell them like, I'm going to work really hard to get rich because I want to pay you back or reward you or show my appreciation for you in more ways than I can afford right now. And they would say, you being here and taking care of yourself is enough for us. And they meant that. It was huge for me. So if you're struggling with self-care, I encourage you to squeeze it in. Some things I do right now, Saturday and Sundays, non-negotiable. I get my kids up, I may get them dressed. We do their little morning routine situation while they are eating breakfast because they can now feed themselves, the things that they eat for the most part. Non-negotiable, I have a cup of hot protein coffee. I sit at the table behind them or right beside them. And it's not about the coffee, it's about the vibes. It's about 10 minutes to breathe. And literally not do anything but like embrace the vibes of sitting down and not having to do anything yet. Because weekends, we be all over the place sometimes. We got birthday parties and we're running errands and I'm buying clothes and paying bills and we're going grocery shopping and we're preparing for, the week. Saturdays and Sundays, non-negotiable. I don't care what's going on. The next thing that I do is we get every month at work, at least at my job, these press pause Fridays where we get half day off. Those are the days where I will plan nail appointments or hair appointments. I already had the time off. That's when I go. In the morning when I can, because sometimes the kids hear me get up and they go ahead and get up. I try to get up before the kids and do my skincare routine. 5 minutes, unbothered, using my turmeric soap, using my body butter, using my jade roller. It feels good. I feel good after doing that. I have my own Yoni steam chair. And so this is the one thing that I'm going to commit to start doing weekly, is doing my Yoni steam here in the house while the kids are at daycare. I get a lunch break. Yoni steaming doesn't take that long. 15-20 minutes is all you need. I got the herbs. I got everything I need. I'm going to start doing those once a week. I make sure after the kids get dropped off, I have breakfast. But before that, before the kids leave, I have my Happy Juice, which is a mix of a prebiotic, probiotic, phytobiotic supplement that also has some metabolism and mood and mental wellness supports. Non-negotiable. Every morning that gets made before I drop the kids off, I mix it. It takes less than a minute. I mix it up with water, shake it up. When I leave the house, I'm drinking it to and from drop off at school. That's a huge part of self-care because that allows me to continue to do the healing I need internally, to make sure my organs are functioning properly, to make sure my gut is healthy, to make sure I have good mental wellness from like a cellular level in my body. Hugely important. I will also prepare healthy meals. I'm making sure that I take deep breaths between meetings. That is more huge than you would ever know. I walk to the mailbox so that I'm like getting outside and getting some sunshine. And even if it's cloudy, I still walk to the mailbox to get the mail and back. It's a great 5-minute break. I work out. Now, I haven't worked out since my kids had the flu a month ago. I've done some walks and things like that, but not in the gym. But I invested in a program where I can do these workouts inside of my house or at the gym. So there's really no excuse. But there's also YouTube. If you don't have the money, YouTube has some excellent workouts. Low impact, walking workouts, like whatever it is that you need. YouTube is free. Pull them up. get some fitness in. They've got chair stretches, there's yoga for beginners, there's all sorts of things that's there. I make sure that I'm having water all the time, and if I want a little flavor, I get sugar-free, dye-free water enhancers. Add a little bit to one of the drinks in the day, and we're good to go. I mentioned Kristen in the beginning of this episode. I'm also starting to outsource things. I needed help reorganizing my multi-purpose space, which was my bedroom. I worked from my room. At the time, my daughter was also sleeping in the room, so I had bassinets. There's a little space with her cubby and all of her clothes. My clothes are in there. And so I asked for help. I bought new bedroom furniture. Kristen came to help me organize my room, and then she came back and helped me organize the kids' room. It was awesome. It was great. It was so needed. And so now I'm looking to outsource laundry and even to have somebody deep clean like twice a month. Just like you come do the baseboards and stuff. The reason that I count all those things as self-care is because when you can wake up in a space that's already organized and you have a place for things and you've gotten like all the clutter gone, you think better. You are less overwhelmed. It is less overwhelming to wake up when you don't see the clutter than it is to wake up and know, I did the laundry, it's in the hamper, it's the first thing I see when I wake up, I need help. So asking for help and finding services that you can afford, or even friends. I've heard of friends having these like laundry folding and organizing parties. So find ways to make that work for you. Kristen is here in the Dallas area. My friend Amber is in the Omaha area. They both are fantastic. There are just people who do a great job with that. Find them. Drop your laundry off somewhere or hire somebody to come in and do laundry, because y'all, there are people who that is their ministry. That is a part of their purpose. I can do it, but I got a whole lot of other stuff to do. They can do my laundry and put it away, or at least fold it and I can put it away, right? They can do it, put it away. They can come in and clean and vacuum and sweep and do all that stuff. Guess what I get to do during that time? Work out, meal prep, take a nap, actually do work, make products for my customers, record this podcast, maybe go see a friend, or like get out of the house. All of that is self-care. While self-care doesn't require you to buy anything with money per se, self-care is an investment. It's a priority, and it's your divine right. Bare minimum, it's your divine right. You deserve to be taken care of by yourself. Whether you're a parent of 1 or 10, whether you're a new parent or you got teenagers, or your kids are out of the house and they're 30. You have to take care of you first. And so self-care is huge. So I want you to think about ways this next week, this next month, this next year, that you can be more intentional about making sure you are taking care of yourself so that you can be better, number 1, for yourself, number 2, for the people you're responsible for taking care of, and number 3, for your purpose here and your interest here in this lifetime. I hope that helps you. I hope that helps you to understand that some of the advice out there is not helping you to prioritize you, and we got to reject it and be unapologetic about making sure that moms, especially new moms, and that postpartum period is not a week. It's not 6 weeks. I mean, at least the first year or 2. That we're reminding you to take care of yourself and even continuing to do so. Affirm moms, letting them know they're doing a good job. They're doing the best they can with what they have, with what they know. If moms are doing things to help them, like they want to buy books and read them, let them. Forget all the extra of like, oh, you're not going to need that. You're going to throw all that out the door. You actually don't know. I bought books. I was really excited about reading them. I posted them online before I had my son. And 80% of the comments were, you don't need to read those books because you're going to throw it all out the window once you have your baby. And I don't think, and that came from other moms, I don't think y'all realize how harmful that was. Because I struggled to figure out if my son had delays in his development. And he did. And I'm going to advocate for myself and for my kids that I do that, right? But I could have had a better understanding of what was going on sooner. If I felt like I had been allowed to care for myself in that way. There's nothing wrong with knowledge. There's nothing wrong with me and you knowing things, and then maybe after knowing it, realizing, okay, that doesn't really apply to me. But to stop people from even knowing sucks. Stop that. There's so much information out there now. I wasn't looking to be the perfect parent. I was looking to just be informed. Because the world is very different for me as a 39-year-old parent of a 1 and a 2-year-old than it was when my mom was a 21-year-old parent of a 1 and a 3-year-old. Significantly different. We know so much more about things. That's a part of my self-care that I feel like was taken away from me. And now I can get it back. I still got the books. I can read it. But I say all that to say that there are things that are told to moms and new parents and folks who are excited and wanting to learn and wanting to be balanced. And we snatch that away by telling moms they don't matter, sleep when the baby sleeps, when they know they got a whole bunch of other stuff going on. Even if they have help, they still have a whole bunch of stuff to think about for themselves too. When we start to tell people, don't hire that out, don't send your kid to daycare, don't do that, don't let your kids do that. It's a lot. It's a lot, not to mention all the other things that we have to deal with in the world. And the fears and the anxieties about just having a child existing in today's world. Let's encourage people in the things that they're trying to do, especially the healthy things. It's okay for a mom to go hang out with friends from time to time. It's okay for a mom to decide to change her diet and eat differently and take control of her health. It's okay for moms to go to doctor's appointments. They need to. It's okay for moms to go to the dentist. It's okay for moms to get their hair and nails done. It's okay for moms to have a cocktail every now and then if that's their thing. It's okay for moms to want to take a nap. It's okay for moms to say no to some things and yes to other things. Our spiritual, mental, and physical health matter. They matter. So make sure you're including your prayer and your journaling and your outside connections with nature and church, if that's your thing, and temple and fasting and whatever it is for your spiritual health. And then your therapy and your journaling and your reading and your outside time and your workouts and your supplements and all those things for your mental wellness, and your walks and your stretches and your naps and your deep breaths between meetings and all that for your physical health. They matter. Do not let anybody try to stop you from doing those things, big or small. You know what you need, you know what you desire, you know what makes you feel better. Do them. And surround yourself with people who also know that those things are important for you. I wouldn't have made it without friends who know me so well that they are able to book me a pedicure twice, by the way, and have everything else set up for me so that I didn't have to worry about it. So huge, so special, right? So lean on those supports. Learn to say no to the things you don't want to do. Outsource. Don't let nobody judge you for outsourcing. You can't do everything. You cannot. So outsource meal prep, outsource grocery delivery, outsource grocery shopping, outsource laundry, outsource cleaning, outsource babysitting, outsource your hair, outsource your nails, all of that. Outsource mowing the lawn, washing your car, detailing the inside of your car because kids mess it up, okay? All of that. Do that. It's good for you. You are deserving of self-care. and self-care looks how it looks to you. It looks different for you than it will for me. I want you to make it a priority, and I want you to start with something. Start with one thing, get good at that, and then ask for help for something else, or start to research what are your other options for some other things. And make sure you're taking care of yourself. Always, in all ways. I hope this helped you. Thank you for tuning in to the Uncaped Mama podcast. Follow me on social media on Instagram, Uncaped Mama and care_Bath and Body. I hope that you found this episode inspiring, relatable, and impactful. And I hope that this triggers a thought in you to be a better support system to a mama near you. Help her to put down the superwoman persona, to put her cape down, to be whole, to be all that she is destined to be as a mother and more. See you next time.